my name is Allie and I'm a software engineer. I've been getting a lot of questions about what books should you read if you're interested in learning Python. So I gathered a bunch of my books together and I put them into categories, and I'll let you know which ones are good for you based on your interests. So the first two books that I'm going to show you are from Simon Monk. This is Programming the Raspberry Pi, Getting Started with Python. A Raspberry Pi is a microprocessor that you could use for learning robotics and electronics. With this type of book, you can learn to work with LEDs as well as maybe a controller. What I like about electronics and Raspberry Pi is that it gives sort of a physical medium for learning programming and understanding how code works. Here's another book from Simon Monk. This one is called Hacking Electronics, and the subtitle is Learning Electronics with the Arduino and Raspberry Pi. So this is a very similar book to the previous one, except for this one is about maybe hacking toys or certain electronic devices like a cell phone in very simple ways. But it gives you an idea of how to maybe use a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino to integrate with electronics in your daily life and figure out how to change them a little bit. I want you to note that Raspberry Pi does use Python, but an Arduino uses a language that's closer to C. This is another really cool book. It's actually a magazine, and it is the official Raspberry Pi handbook. And this one you might not learn as much technical skills or coding, but I think it's super cool because it gives you an idea of the different types of inventions that people have made using their own Raspberry Pi, and I think it can give you some ideas for what you can make next. So this is Head First Python from O'Reilly, and what I like about the Head First books is that they're very entry-level friendly, and they don't go too much in depth, but they give you enough information to get started and feel more comfortable. So after you go ahead and work with this book, you can move on to something a little bit more advanced, but this book isn't going to go super into object-oriented programming if that's a priority for you. Here's another book that I would recommend. This is the Python book, The Ultimate Guide to Coding with Python. What I really like about these books is that they're super hobbyist friendly, but they're not afraid of showing you more advanced things. So we'll talk about the terminal. It talks about Minecraft a little bit. It also talks a bit about robotics, and it has over 20 projects in it. This one is a bit more advanced, so I wouldn't recommend it for complete beginners, but if you have a lot of initiative, drive, motivation, and you're super just enthusiastic about learning Python, I think this is a good option because it'll give you a lot to do in a very small package. So the next and last book that I would recommend for hobbyists is this one. This book is called Introduction to Computing and Programming in Python, and it takes a multimedia approach to introducing you to Python. So the cool thing about this book is that if you are interested in music or movies or pictures, then it tells you ways that you can manipulate those types of media so that you can learn Python. I think this book is also helpful for understanding how people might be using coding at jobs like Adobe, or building tools for video games, or even working in visual effects. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, like just multimedia approach, whether it's sound, video, or photos, I think that this will give you a good introduction to working with those types of media. This book is something like a fan favorite. It's called Automate the Boring Stuff with Python. So this book is pretty cool. It teaches you how to work with things like sending emails through automation in Python, working with spreadsheets. It also talks about web scraping, reading and writing to files, organizing your files, scheduling tasks, sending emails or texts, manipulating images, and more. I hope that these suggestions were helpful, and remember that you don't have to get a brand new book. You can always buy a used book, and it's just as good. Let me know what books you're most excited to read in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.